We'd like to welcome everybody to Cache County Council meeting. Appreciate everybody in attendance. We got a good little group out there. They're actually pretty good looking too. So, sorry you have to look at me. Anyway, we'll go start right there on the opening with Council Member Nolan Gunnell.
Thank you. I'm being this November, and my family is heavily involved in the military. I wanted to recognize the veterans, November 11th coming up. So I just want to read a piece here. Veterans Day, originally known as Armistice Day, is a federal holiday in the United States observed annually on November 11th for honoring military veterans of the United States Armed Forces who were discharged under conditions other than dishonorable. It coincides with other holidays including Armistice Day, Remembrance Day, which are commemorated in other countries that mark the anniversary of the end of World War I. Major hostilities of the World War were formally ended at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918 when the armistice with Germany went into effect. At the urging of major U.S. veteran organizations, Armistice Day was renamed Veterans Day in 1954. I also did some searching on there in the 1970s. Veterans Day was held at different times, and then under President Gerald Ford, it was moved back again to November. So please think of our veterans, those who have served and those who are serving and those who we come in contact with. They have sacrificed so much that we can participate in meetings like this tonight. And so I wish to give my honor to the veterans and take this time. And with that, if you'd please stand, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, hear a motion from for review approval of the agenda.
Chair, I would like to make an amendment to the agenda regarding items 10D and E due to these are up for further review from the policy committee, and we need to not have those on there. And so with that, I would propose we accept the agenda with that amendment.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. We accept the agenda with the removal of 10D and E. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. How about the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
Second it.
Moved and seconded. We approve the minutes of October 24th, last meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, report. County Executive.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Council. Just a couple of brief items. I had an opportunity about a week ago to meet with President Adams from the State Senate. Had a good discussion with him about infrastructure, and he's very supportive of infrastructure, and hopefully will be supportive of our needs in the coming session. Also, speaking of infrastructure, had a great meeting with Nathan Dowgs, who runs our water district, and we had a good conversation about water infrastructure needs and storage requirements and future needs. And I think that's, as I mentioned in our workshop, something that we need to be very much engaged in to make sure that our needs are taken care of in coming legislative sessions. I attended the Mayor's Association meeting this past Saturday. It was held at CAPSA, and CAPSA gave tours of their facility and their shelter to the mayors and everyone in attendance. And I just wanted to pass on from CAPSA. I know we got a letter from Bear River Mental Health thanking the county for the ARPA contribution, and CAPSA at that meeting also expressed their gratitude for the ARPA contribution from the county. So just wanted to pass on their thanks to you. Speaking of thanks, received a letter from some parents who lost their son at a traffic accident at 3200 South last year, and they just wanted to express their gratitude for that project being completed at 3200 South and 8991. And I want to add to that my thanks to everyone who helped with that important safety improvement at 3200 South, especially UDOT and Logan City, Nibley City. They all played integral roles in getting that traffic, that intersection signalized and realigned, and former council member Gordon Zillis was very helpful, as well as an adjacent property owner. So thank you to everybody who helped with that important safety improvement. Also wanted to thank everyone who was part of the Cash Summit. We held the Cash Summit last week, and it's an annual event to talk about planning and how we can grow and develop in a better way here in our community. And I know several people in the room were able to attend, but for those of you who were not able to attend, the summit was recorded and the video will be available on the Cash Summit website. There were many great workshops throughout the day. I highly recommend, if you were not able to attend, checking out some of those workshops. Also would like to express gratitude to all of our department heads. We've had a number of discussions throughout budget season, and especially in the last couple of weeks, about ways that we can tighten up all of their budgets and our budgets. And I just want to express gratitude to them for all of their work and their willingness to find ways that we could be as efficient as possible in preparing our county budget. Also, about a week ago, attended the inaugural Mental Health Summit of Pause Wellness, which was supported also by the county and some ARPA funds. And I just wanted to report back that it was a fantastic event. One of our own, Tara Warner, was one of the speakers at the event. She gave a fantastic presentation, very informative and educational. And I am very encouraged about the organization Pause Wellness and their future. This was just their kickoff to their organization, and the efforts that they're engaging in. I was very impressed with their professionalism and their focus on improving mental health in our community. So thank you to everyone who was involved with helping to fund that summit and making sure it happened. And that concludes my report for this evening. And I may have to leave a little bit early. My son has a concert tonight, but hopefully we finish in time. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, let's move on. 6A, Mr. McBride, Intermountain Healthcare, and Mr., is it Rodriguez?
Yep.
Okay. Appreciate you two coming and sharing some information.
You bet. Well, good evening. Thank you for having us. It's always great to be here. My name is Brandon McBride. I'm the president at Logan Regional Hospital.
And my name is Emilio Rodriguez. I'm the communications manager for the hospital.
So our goal tonight is to provide you a brief update on two items. The first item is to report to all of you about the process that we worked through in the spring around our tax exempt status. So we've worked through that process and received approval from the 2022 process and moving forward. But we always like to come back and provide a full report to all of you. Well, it's a summarized report, but a report to the full group on how that process went, and making sure that we meet our obligation in the community from a tax exempt perspective. So we'll talk about that briefly, and then also just give you a brief update on Logan Regional Hospital. So we'll jump into this. I wanted to start with our mission as an organization and as a hospital, and our focus at Logan Regional Hospital is to help people live the healthiest lives possible. And we're really focused on not just providing the best experience while patients are in the hospital, but we're doing a lot of things as an organization to what we call get upstream and focus on trying to keep people healthy and well before they need hospital care. In fact, about 40% now of our insurance contracts across Intermountain Health are considered value-based contracts. And what that means is we contract with insurance companies, and they pay us a fixed fee to manage the health of the population within their insurance plan. We're doing that because we want to own the risk. We want to take that risk on as an organization and then proactively manage the health of the community that we serve in. And so that approach is really important to us, and it's really all about helping people live the healthiest lives possible. And just wanted to start with that so that you know that our focus really is on trying to help the community be as healthy as possible. I mentioned as a not-for-profit organization, our goal is to ensure that we can provide the absolute best care to the community and do it at the most appropriate cost, and regardless of our patients' ability to pay. And so we have a very generous financial assistance program that we work with our community members on, and that's really what I'll focus on here on this slide. So for those of you that were involved in the process in the spring, we reported through our tax-exempt status process that we work through every spring, our value-adjusted charity care number, which is that number that you see on the left. Let me describe what that number means. Value-adjusted charity care, there's two components to that. Charity care, one is it's pure financial assistance. So this is not bad debt. I want to be really clear that that charity care figure is not a bad debt number. You'll see that number actually on the other side of the slide. And then the value adjusted piece, what that means is that's what we would have, it's not a gross charge, it's what we would have been paid had we been paid by consumers or insurance plans for that care. So we adjust that number down so that it's reflective of a net revenue, not a gross revenue, so the number's not overinflated. So our focus really, again, is on having a very generous financial assistance program to be able to meet the needs of the community when they need care at the hospital. And this just kind of is a little bit different way of displaying what our property tax obligation would have been as an organization at Logan Regional Hospital. Would have been a little over $2 million, but we've provided about $8.1 million in value-adjusted charity care to the community to ensure that we are not only meeting that property tax obligation, but exceeding it significantly. Let me give just a brief overview now on Logan Regional Hospital. We are a 146-bed community hospital. We're one of the larger community hospitals in the Intermountain Health System. We have over 1,100 caregivers. We refer to all of our employees as caregivers. So we have over 1,100 caregivers. We're a level 3 trauma center. We're the busiest level 3 trauma center in the state. And we actually have our state trauma designation and survey review tomorrow with the state. And fully expect that we will do really well on that and be recertified as a level 3 trauma center. Dozens of medical and surgical specialties, and right now over 400 active medical staff members on our medical staff. Just a few highlights to kind of help you understand the volumes that we see at Logan Regional Hospital. In 2022, delivered over 2,000 babies, had over 8,300 inpatient admissions, and then for the first time ever, as we see the community continue to grow, had more than 30,000 emergency room visits, which is significant for a community our size. We have a very busy emergency room. One of the things that we're really excited about is the addition of a Life Flight helicopter here in Cache Valley. It was a couple of years in the making, working with Intermountain Health System leadership to have a Life Flight helicopter based here, but it's been a great thing for our community. And really there's two things that having a Life Flight helicopter has allowed us to do. One, to respond to the scene of an accident much more quickly, and two, when we need to transfer a patient to a higher level of care outside of Cache Valley, we're able to do that in a much more timely manner. So some really good things happening. We've got a Life Flight based crew that lives here in the community. The pilot, our EMT, our paramedics, they all live here in the community, and when they're on call, they are stationed right near the hospital and can respond and have the helicopter up in the air in about 8 or 9 minutes. So it's been a really great thing, I think, to bring the community together as well. And Amelia, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So to celebrate kind of the arrival of Life Flight, we've partnered with some of our community partners. With the high schools and Utah State University to kind of, introduce it to the community as well as kind of spread the awareness. So we've had the chance to, I think we've delivered a game ball to every high school in the valley, and then we had Life Flight fly over the Utah State game against Fresno State. And then if you're going to attend the Boise State game, you'll see them there as well. So again, to Brandon's point, we're very grateful that they're here and they're local. And so they understand our community and they understand how our hospital works. And so it's really allowed a great relationships, both internally and externally.
The last thing I'll mention is just to express gratitude for and the amazing board of trustees that we have at Logan Regional Hospital. They are great ambassadors for the hospital into the community and also great ambassadors for the community back to the hospital. And that's really the number one ask we have of our board of trustees, is to represent the hospital but also represent the community back to the hospital. And so a great board, yeah.
That's got to be a great board. Look at Nolan smiling.
I know. He makes that whole picture just look great, doesn't he? Yeah.
I'm sure somebody told me a joke, so.
But we've got a great board that, again, they're really focused on, they hold us accountable. I won't get into specifics, but Nolan does a great job holding us accountable and ensuring that we are providing our patients and our community with the highest quality and safest outcomes, and ensuring that we continue to meet those standards. We review that every month in our board meetings, and they make sure that we're following those. So we are very much appreciative of them and what they do for the community. So we wanted to keep our update brief. Really, again, this was an opportunity just to come and connect with you and let you know how much we appreciate the partnership that we have with each of you in the community, and how important we know that relationship and partnership is for our community members. And also just to reiterate to you that our goal really is to always put the needs of our patients first and always strive to do what's best for the health of our community. So with that, I'll just pause and see if you, I know we don't have a lot of time, but just to see if you have any questions for us.
Will you fill me in a little bit on the construction addition to the
Yeah.
east of the hospital and what that is and what that's going to be for?
Yes, thank you, Carl. That's a great question. Thanks for bringing that up. So we are in the process right now of building a new inpatient tower. And so I should probably have a picture of this, but we have two patient towers right now that sit sort of on the northwest side of the campus. They were built in the late 70s. The rooms, if any of you have been in our inpatient rooms, are awkward. They're poorly designed. They're not modern. We don't have a main entrance to the hospital right now. I mean, we do, but it's not visible or recognizable. And so as we looked at how do we refresh those two buildings, based on cost and timeline, it was a easier decision for us just to build a new inpatient tower. So that building is located just to the north of our emergency room, sort of on the backside of the campus. It'll be a 4-story building, primarily inpatient services. For the most part, it's a replacement of our 2 inpatient towers, but we are expanding our behavioral health beds to provide more access for the community. But we'll basically maintain the number of medical, surgical, and ICU beds and pediatric beds that we have right now. So all the second and third floor are all inpatient services. The first floor will be a new kitchen, cafe, dining area, education center with some classrooms, and then some hospital outpatient services, cardiology and imaging services on the first floor. We started construction on it in the fall of '21, so we're about 2 years into it. We will move into the new tower in May of 2024, and then once we've moved in, we will demolish the 2 existing north and south towers, as we call them, and that'll open up some space for us to have future growth opportunities on the campus. But it'll be really nice to have a main entrance, an identifiable entrance with a nice drop-off area for patients and visitors.
Thank you.
Just to continue on, prior to opening the new tower too, we'll provide all of you an opportunity to come, and as well as the community to kind of come and check out the new tower and get a feel for kind of the way, where the departments and the service lines are going to be within it. So it'll be fun.
Thank you. Well, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. It was great to spend some time with you, and have a great rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dane, where did Dane go? You did step out.
He's coming back there.
There's Dane, okay. Nope, you're fine. Dane, you've got the next thing on the item on the agenda of salary increases?
Okay, and this is, do you want me up there? Do you want me here? Does it matter?
Is there anything you gotta show us? Just gonna,
I don't have anything
Okay,
to
talk.
show you.
you're being recorded.
Amy has gone through this previously. So I'm making the request that the council adopt the market adjustment that was previously presented. As part of that, there's nothing in the budget that needs to be amended because our salary, because of the openings we've had for this year, even with the additional 80,000 that this would cause, we'll still have over 83,000, I believe, left over in our budget line that we'll be turning back after this year, just because of the openings we've had throughout this year. So there's no, for this year, there's no budget ask for that. There is, in our budget amendment, there's gonna be moving a small amount, $10,000 from benefits to a salary line. But that would be the only change here. But in our salary and benefits line, it would be any additional funds that we're requesting this year. It would be in next year's budget reflected as a market adjustment. But as of right now, there's nothing in the budget I'd be asking for. Are there any questions from the council as far as that request goes?
These are currently reflected in the 2023's
Budget opening.
resolution 2023-20.
Yes, that's just the moving from
Right.
benefits to salary,
Yeah.
but $10,000. But there wouldn't be any additional funding, not asking for money from the general fund. It's already in our budget that's gonna be unused, and even with this ask, we'll be turning back a significant amount of that. I know it's a large amount, but I appreciate the council. I feel like you've all taken the time to understand where we are in the legal market right now. Hoping to send an offer out for one of our 2 openings tomorrow if this passes. I told the candidate I can't really send you an offer today because I don't know what the council's gonna do. I don't know what I can offer you, but I'm hoping to be able to send that out, maybe even while I'm sitting here tonight.
Good.
So I appreciate the time you've put into understanding the issues our office is having as far as salaries go.
Thank you. Okay, it's close enough to 5:30. I'll entertain motions to set the public hearings for 8A, B, and C.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and do a motion that we set a public hearing for November 28th, 2023 for ordinance 2023-39. Same date, November 28th for ordinance number 2023-40. And again, same date of November 28th, a resolution of 2023-18.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that we set the public hearings for November 28, 2023 for ordinances 2023-39, 2023-40, and resolution 2023-18. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to butt in. Just as far as my,
You had your time, remember?
I know, I'm sorry. As far as my item of special interest, if the council is going to take action on that, there'd need to be a motion and a vote whether to adopt
Okay,
those.
that's why I asked if it was in the
Oh,
2023.
so that's related, but that doesn't approve that's just related to moving some
Okay,
pieces of that money
Okay.
around, but it doesn't approve the market adjustment proposed by,
then we'll do a little reverse here. Is there?
Okay.
I would entertain a motion as such, or unless you'd like to talk more about it.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve the market adjustment rates that were proposed to us 2 weeks ago for the county attorney's office.
Second?
Moved and seconded that we approve the market adjustments presented to us by the Cache County Attorney's Office a couple weeks ago. Is there any discussion?
I just would like to add that I'm very much in support of this, and this is a critical part of our public safety infrastructure. And in addition to making sure we take care of our prosecutors, I think it's important that we always remember that we have a counterpart in the public defender's office, and that we ensure that we maintain equity going forward whenever we make budget adjustments in one, we should make sure we do that in the other. So if that's something the council will keep in mind as we go through the budget. Thank you.
Any further discussion from the council? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
Start texting.
Let's go with 8D, public hearing for the resource management plans. Who is the speaker? Stephen, okay. Now, I notice the voice next to you's got a deep voice. He's good. He ought to be a radio.
Know anybody's hiring.
Go sing with the Statler brothers.
There you go. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I'll bring up a presentation. Mostly, I just want to introduce Connor Smith, who will be doing the presentation of the County Resource Management Plan. Connor Smith, he's a planner with us. He's been with us for about 6 months. He's currently finishing his master's with USU, Environmental Planning. He's just wrapping up his thesis. And I'm sure he's going to be super excited for when that's done. So yeah, let me just bring up this presentation and...
Now, if we don't pass this, does he still graduate? Okay.
Hold on one second. It's not wanting to enter into presentation mode for me. There we go. Okay, so you should...
Yeah, as Stephen said, I'm Connor Smith, just a new planner one with Development Services Planning Division. So I'm super excited to show this to you guys tonight. This is the Resource Management Plan. So let's give a brief overview. So what is the County Resource Management Plan? Essentially, it's a very broad scale plan that is meant to express the wishes of the county for public lands where we typically don't have jurisdiction. So essentially what it does is it assesses the state of natural resources in the county, and then essentially it provides for essentially what we want. We typically went with the protection of the citizens, the health, and the character of the county. And so just for reference, here are the public lands within Cache County. So you can see most of it's over on the east side with a little bit on the west side along the Wellsvilles. So the CRMP background, why do we need to do it? Essentially in 2015, code was amended to require us to do a CRMP. Typically it was done by federal agencies, but they ended up swapping it out, so we have our own say in it. And initially 29 resources were required. And our current CRMP was adopted in 2017. Then in 2022, the code was further amended to include 4 new resources. It was supposed to be done last year, but thankfully the state gave us an extension and it's due at the end of 2023, otherwise we could face some fines. What 4 new resources are required? Critical minerals and rare earth elements, renewable energy, infrastructure and pipelines, and utility corridors. So what are critical minerals and rare earth elements? Essentially the USGS puts out a list of 50 non-fuel minerals and it's updated every 3 years. And the basic idea behind it is to protect for national security, the economy, renewable energy, and infrastructure. Examples of this include lithium, cobalt, aluminum, and the status of that within the county are there are no known deposits, therefore there are no extraction operations. Renewable energy, essentially it's sources that replenish quickly or are sustainable. Examples of this include geothermal, solar, wind, hydropower. Right now, renewable energy on public lands is limited to hydropower with Second Dam, Third Dam, and Hiram City Dam. Infrastructure and pipelines, exactly what it sounds like. Essentially, major structures and facilities used to transport raw materials. It can also be refined materials, electricity, utility products, people, water. Essentially, a very broad scope. Examples of this includes roads, pipelines, transmission lines. There is infrastructure and pipelines present on public lands within Cache County. And utility corridors, essentially, those are the strips of land that are dedicated for implementing those infrastructure projects. Examples of this and typically what those are used for is petroleum pipelines, transmission lines, roads, things like that. There currently are no Section 368 utility corridors within Cache County. Section 368 utility corridors are a very distinct designation. It's typically done on BLM land. There is no BLM land within Cache County. So right now, all utility corridors are essentially restricted to either county or private rights of way. The format of the CRMP, the basic way to think about it is where we are, where we want to be, and how we're going to get there. So this is showing kind of how that interacts with the parts of the plan. You essentially have the general description, which is a very basic look at what the resource is, map, exactly what it sounds like, just showing where they are, current state, anything like that. Then the resource management setting. So that includes the legal context, the context that exists within Cache County. It just gives a very broad overview of how it is within the county. Where we want to be, it's expressed by the desired future state, which essentially just says, hey, here's what we want to be in the future. And resource management objectives cover how we're going to get there. So essentially, I can walk you through a section right here in a second. Essentially, the process we took to get here is we had a first steering committee meeting. I'd like to thank Councilmans Gunnell and Erickson for attending those meetings. And we also had a stakeholder meeting. That led to the initial drafting of the document. And after it was drafted, we had a second steering committee meeting. We decided not to have that second stakeholder meeting because it was a very basic, nobody really had any opinions that were strong. We invited enough people that we felt were sufficient, so Dominion, Rocky Mountain Power, a couple state agencies, a couple federal agencies, and they just didn't really have any opinions on it. We also did a public open house just to allow the public to show up. I'd like to thank Councilman Ward for showing up to that. And so that essentially gave relevant parties a chance to speak, and then the public a chance to speak and express their opinions. We just wanted to make sure that all bases were covered in that. And that led to the final drafting of the document, the current draft, I should say. And we held a meeting with Planning Commission on the 5th of October, just to introduce them to it, and so they could open up that public comment period. Last week, they decided to recommend it to the council. And so that essentially puts us where we are now. County Council public hearing, which is today, and then we're hoping to have a vote before the end of the year to adopt it. So we can walk you through a section now. This is for utility corridors. Essentially, desired future state is minimize the impacts on people, on the environment, and just the character of the county. So we express that in this desired future state. Some examples of management objectives. We essentially wanted to make sure that these utility corridors benefit the county. There's typically issues that arise from utility corridors being implemented where they benefit certain groups that are not entities of the county. So we want to make sure that there was that benefit remaining to the citizens. The next one is increase options for recreational access. When I think Cache County, I think excellent outdoor activities. And so utility corridors are an excellent way of expanding that. So we wanted to express our opinion that we wanted to increase that. Facilitate effective coordination and collaboration between land managers and stakeholders and us. Basically, we just wanted a seat at the table, so in the event they decide to implement anything, they would have to come to us and say, okay, well, we're inviting you to this project. What would you guys like? Another one, protect the health and safety and well-being of residents of Cache County. Like I said, we really wanted to make sure that the public is protected at basically extreme language. As you can see, this is very solid language, and we try to prevent anything from environmental hazards, so air pollution, water pollution. We want to maintain the health of the citizens. We also want to make sure that their daily activities, so travel, access to their property, access to recreational activities was protected as well. And then our environmental goal was essentially protect the environmental quality of the county. We focused on waterways, aquifers, wildlife. We wanted to help ensure that they tried to comply with our sensitive areas code. And then in the process of development, limit any environmental degradation as a result of that. And we include a couple examples in there. So pollution, soil erosion, deforestation, things like that. Do you have any questions?
Who compiled all of the data in all these, 152 pages of,
So,
there's a lot of data in there.
right. So the initial CRMP was drafted by BioWest, and they assisted on this amendment. Some of it was compiled by me and the team that helped essentially draft this document.
This is an update.
Right. It's just an amendment to include those 4 new resources in state compliance.
When we did our stakeholder meeting, that was one of the reasons we did it, was so that those who manage public lands or may have some sort of impact on utilities or whatever that may go through public lands had an opportunity to come in and tell us what their future plans were or what already existed. So some of that, especially for the new stuff, we got a lot of that from the stakeholders themselves, but then also we had some of that information, and BioWest, our consultant, compiled a lot of that as well.
Thank you.
Councilman Gunnell.
So when we did our first stakeholder meeting, we talked about pipelines that were going through Cass County. We have natural gas and we actually have an oil one, right?
Right.
So the oil company, have they filed a mitigation plan, or have they got consistent things in case, just like what you talked about, to protect our waterways and everything else?
I couldn't comment on that.
This oil line goes right by Porcupine Dam and the river?
Right. I imagine as part of that construction, they would have to. One of the problems with the CRMP is essentially we can only look forward. We can't necessarily go back and correct things. And so that's kind of the idea we had, and being somewhat strict on what we outline, environmental quality of the citizens, protection of health, things like that, just to ensure that in the future, if they decide to do anything on public lands, it's protected and they have to meet standards of today and not necessarily, I don't want to say get away with anything, but just make sure that they meet our standards.
So were they part of the stakeholder meetings or anything?
They were. Dominion was invited to the stakeholder meeting.
And the oil company too?
I believe so. I don't know if they attended. They might have attended through Zoom. We set up a digital room just because some people just wouldn't be able to make it otherwise.
Well, there is a natural gas.
I'm glad to hear about this because I've been in a couple of UAC meetings. I have twice in my notes I wrote down, do we have a CRMP? So I'm glad that we do, because they talk about it a lot and I wasn't aware, or.
Yeah, this is Reg Johnson in those meetings. He's talked about them several times.
Yeah.
And they have actually gotten some federal legislation passed to force federal agencies and things to actually, before they can do things within certain counties, they must address our local resource management plans.
Exactly.
So that's why it's so valuable that we have those updated.
And that's exactly right, because there are some things we can't control with our zoning code, and so the state is requiring the federal government, if they want to do stuff on public lands within counties, to consult the county through what our county resource management plan says. And that's part of the reason why we try to list out those priorities of protecting the people, environment, and recreation, and character of the county. So that way our priorities were clear within the document.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Others, comments, questions?
One more. Do those stakeholders have to report periodically to any county or any that they go through of their financial capabilities or their standing?
Not currently. The CRMP doesn't necessarily deal with that. I imagine if we ask, they might be willing to provide it, but it's not necessarily tied to the CRMP.
I would be interested in knowing if there was a problem that they had the financial backing to help on the county. I mean,
Or even an emergency plan.
Yeah.
Good questions.
okay, thanks.
Perfect.
Good luck on your masters.
Yeah.
I need it.
No, you did. You did great. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and go to 8E. Oh, well, we got to do the public hearing. I'm sorry. Thank you. Good job. I get anxious. We'll go ahead and we'll open up to the public hearing at this point for anyone that would like to have comment upon ordinance 2023-38. Oh, there's one. Anyone would like to comment?
I'll move that we close public comment.
Move that we close the public comment and public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Where's a second on that, by the way? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead. public hearing on the opening of the 2023 budget. Go ahead. Go ahead and update us, would you? And then we'll have the public hearing right after.
Plug it into. I pulled out the laptop from the backpack and the battery's dying, so. Okay. Okay.
Well, Brittany, I'm glad you brought some public with you.
We were on the way back from the dentist today, so I have a helper tonight.
He's wise, he's not listening to us.
No, he's not.
I know, I told him, play your tablet and be quiet. Okay. I don't really know. This is 2023, yes. Thank you. I know I had all my papers, I'm trying to keep them separate. Okay. Most of the amendments requested in this amendment for 2023 are department requests to cover actual cost. And a lot of the requests are taking from their own budgets. There are a few that are taking from fund balance. We had a couple in finance. This first one here is to reallocate, the clerk auditor is now over clerk auditor elections and finance budgets, and so we're just reducing his allocation from 33% to 25% across all 4 of those departments. The second one is to cover, we have open positions and full-time employees, and we've been using part-time employees, and so we're just requesting to move some funding from full-time employees to part-time employees to cover that expense. And then just requesting some additional overtime. I don't know, do you want me to go through all these one by one? Okay, I was like, I don't.
Let's definitely go over the council ones.
The council ones? Okay.
I can talk about those. Those are items 24 through 28.
Like most of these are pretty self-explanatory.
These are just some expenses related to
10B, oh, it's 10B.
Clerk selection.
24 through 26.
I'm getting there.
Sorry, 24 through 28.
Okay.
And so these are just in our council budget. 4 of the 5 are pretty small, just related to like getting a printer for my office. Adding in overtime, I'm the only employee that works overtime. I've worked a little bit of overtime throughout the last 11 months. And then obviously the travel budget, it's a pretty significant increase. That is doubling the council's travel budget for 2023. Just looking at our future, the plans to go to all of you, well actually 6 of you are going to UAC next week, and that's a pretty significant expense. So something for the council to consider for 2024. I know some of you have spoken to me about the 2024 travel budget from the council. We've had to essentially double it.
Why is that? I mean, we're not going into any more meetings than we
No, but the cost, those,
before.
It's mostly related to costs.
yeah,
going up.
the cost of about double,
And I also
lodging,
think,
everything.
I also think that this year, the council has attended, more of the council has attended more of the meetings. Just about every one of you is going to just about every conference. And so something for the council to consider for 2024, when we talk about, I think next meeting when we talk about our council budget for 2024 in a little bit more depth and something to consider. But for 2023, I don't think we're going to use all of this, but the UAC conference next week is the last expense. So.
One other thing I wanted to point out. So we have, as Dane mentioned, just below this one was his request. The only funding move that we would need to do is to move $10,000 from benefits into full-time employees to cover this market adjustment you approved. And so this would be the ask for that. And then the airport, we had one, it's number 50. In the airport board meeting, we need to request funding to pay the lease payment to Union Pacific. It's $750 a year, but we have not paid it since our lease was up in 2021. And so this is to request the funding to pay for 21, 22, and 23.
Have we not received invoice? Have we not, or how's that gone? Why is that passed for so long?
I think part of it's just been misunderstanding. When the lease ended, we were trying to figure out with the new rate. I'm not sure if I'm the best person to ask.
Yeah, in our airport authority board meeting this week, we talked about this, and it's $750 a year, and the airport has been trying to renegotiate the contract with Union Pacific, but they have not responded. And the contract actually ended in 2021, and Union Pacific hasn't responded to any requests for review of the contract or anything like that. So the board instructed the airport manager to go ahead and pay, even though we're not under contract technically, but to go ahead and pay it so that we can demonstrate good faith and to take care of negotiations going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then we also received an electric vehicle charging station with an electric vehicle truck grant. And the airport manager, in talking with the vendor for the electric vehicle, they have one that they've ordered or that they can order. And anyway, this grant was initially budgeted in 2024. But in talking to the vendor about getting the vehicle, it was awarded in 2023. We can start spending it in 2023. The airport manager would like to move forward with this based on the direction he's received from the airport board. And so we're just requesting to put this grant into the budget amendment, into 2023, and then you'll see an amendment in 2024 to take this out of the 2024 budget. Any unspent funds that we have, we can request to roll forward next year.
Is it charged by a diesel engine?
I don't know.
It's a little coal-fired plant.
I'm not sure. It comes with, so the grant is to cover the charging station for the vehicle and the vehicle. And then there's just a small match, 9.37% match on that grant. We probably won't spend all of that this year, but he did say that they wanted like 50% down payment on the charging station to get started, and then the remainder will probably be paid out next year. But those were the big ones.
Okay, well, we'll have maybe some questions here in a second. Let's go ahead and open up the public hearing for Resolution 2023-20, opening of the 2023 budget. Anyone that would like to speak on about that, go ahead and come up here, state your name, and share what information or questions you may have.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second it.
Moving second, we close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. What other questions that we would have for that? Any for Brittany while she's here?
Well, there's a lot of things that she didn't cover that we probably need to cover before we
Okay.
approve anything, but
We'll when we talk about that on Resolution 2023-20, we'll talk more detail about that then. Okay. Thanks, Brittany.
Yeah, thank you.
9A is still waiting till at least December 5th. It's tabled until then. Let's go to Resolution 2023-18, pending action. I believe we have some amendments that are been applied to the 2024 budget. So we'll go ahead and Brittany, turn that time over to you.
Actually, before
Or-
Brittany says anything.
Yeah.
We do need to have a motion to accept the tentative budget and then take a vote to accept it. This was state code from our deputy executive 2 weeks ago sent me during our meeting 2 weeks ago. There actually does need to be a motion by the legislative body to accept the tentative budget before it can be amended, so that this isn't adopting it, but accepting it. And then it's sort of the council's from that point on.
So you're saying that we have to accept it first, and so we can't do anything with the adopting or the amendments until our next meeting? Or
Yeah, we have to accept it that that he's given us one, right?
Okay.
Yeah, this, I could pull up the state code. I should have come prepared.
We believe you.
Accepting that it's been submitted,
Yeah,
the way it is.
that's what I'm under.
Doesn't tell us whether we like it or not, right?
No.
It's
just
just
to
that we've
accept.
accepted him.
And now we can
So
make
Given
changes.
it.
We
This
can't make
is the
changes.
state code.
Yeah, we can't.
A
Go ahead.
A tentative budget and all supportive schedules and data shall be a public record for available inspection during business hours. And then, sorry, this is not the right one. Under accept.
Do you want me to just make a motion? I'd make a motion that we accept the tentative budget that we were presented. I don't even remember when we were presented it, but I would make that motion that we accept it so that we can work on it. Second.
Moved and seconded that we accept the tentative budget. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's been accepted.
And that code is 173610-8B, just for the record.
Now, from the time that we got that to now, there's been a whole bunch of
Changes.
new additions, new departments that hadn't responded, things like that's been added to it, right? Okay. Okay, Brittany,
Let's explain the difference.
Okay. So I am new to this, being involved with the budgets this far into the game. And I sent Micah the budget amendment yesterday, and Phil called me up to see how it went. And when I was talking with Phil, we noticed that we accidentally duplicated a couple of payroll issue items. So I have the one that's in the initial one that was in your media packet, and then I amended it and sent Micah one this morning. The duplications came because Phil was helping me put together the payroll proposal with all of the recommendations from the compensation committee. And some of the 3% budget cuts that the departments made were to cut seasonal or part-time employees. And so I had in here amendments for those 3% budget cuts that were taking out employees, seasonal employees and part-time employees and benefits. And Phil had accounted for those. He went through my amendments and included.
Amend the motion to amend the amendment.
Yes, sorry.
perfect.
See if I could find an example, but we left the, the placeholder here for it, so it has the description and the accounts that were in the initial request, but we left the amounts blank. I think they're down towards the end, so I probably have to scroll for a little while to get to most of them. Just to give you an example of what that looks like on the amended version. Gosh, there's a lot of amendments. Maybe I mixed up my here.
And then
Mixed up. Corrected.
Even though that says 2024, we're amending the 2023 budget.
Okay.
So these are things for this, not for the budget for next year.
Sorry,
I think they
Yeah, it's just,
they're in here.
are amendments to the tentative budget. Sorry on that.
Did I save it the wrong way? Sorry.
If you want to look at the ones what they're seeing.
I felt bad because I should be down here. I think I keep opening the wrong one. I think I went too far. Okay, like this one. So the amounts are blank because they are accounted for in the last three amendments on this updated amendment. So as you can see, in like number 49 and 50, the amounts are blank. And that is because they are accounted for as a whole in the payroll proposal.
Perfect.
One, we talked about there's 3% budget cuts from the departments. So these amendments include the 3% budget cuts from the departments. Not every department. Primarily it was from the executive branch, but there was a few others that were from outside the executive. The other item that this does, and Brittany, if you could help me find this one, is it moves the roads department and vegetation management into the general fund.
It's on page 16, or 10,
Right here. Yep. Page
number
10.
45. That's where it starts.
Right. So this moves both roads and vegetation management into the general fund. And then the compensation committee recommendations. And that's a majority of these amendments are one of those three things, but then there's also the amendments.
There's a handful of amendments, other things. I know there was, the ones I presented last council meeting are still included here. I left them at the beginning.
Perfect.
So really, there's kind of four categories. The ones that are carryover from the last meeting, the cuts, 3% cuts from the departments, the transfer of roads and vegetation management to the general fund, and then the compensation committee recommendations.
And are the compensation recommendations like in their own section, or are they embedded throughout the different departments?
Nope, they're the last three of the amendment. So they're right here, payroll amendments, so 55. Is just the merit increases. Phil did include the market increase ask for the attorney's office. So what you approved tonight is included in this proposal because it was a recommendation from the compensation committee. Then this 56 is the proposal for the merit adjustments for public safety. Which merit? Not including public safety. So what was 55? Maybe I'm confusing myself. Yes, okay. So 55 was the market adjustments recommended by the compensation committee. 56 is the merit adjustments recommended by the compensation committee. 57, ooh, I passed it, is the 401k recommendation, and 58 was for the market compensation for the public safety and the attorney's office. That's where that is included, and for 2024's budget is in 58. So 55 was excluding public safety and the attorney's market increases. And then I think that's the last one.
So these are the ones that we were already presented, the market adjustments?
Yes.
Like, okay.
And then included with the allocation update, we wanted to move half of the engineering budget into the general fund. And so we did an allocation right here under the allocations where we are moving half of the, so what we will do, it will be very similar to how we do the tax admin allocation, where we would keep it budgeted in the municipal services fund, and then we would just allocate 50% of the actual cost to the general fund. So that adjustment there is included with the allocations. I don't know what else to go over. I don't know if you've got questions. I don't.
Okay, yeah, what questions you'd have? This basically is adopting any of those changes, bringing them in. We have to first have a motion to accept, or that we amend the amendments to the budget, and then we would have a motion to move them in to the actual budget that we will then be working with and see how well, and then basically just do our cuts and additions, transfers, and everything we need to do from there.
So that we're not necessarily approving these, we're just approving them to go into our
Yes, exactly.
tentative budget, got it.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amendment listing that you've given us to the amendments which were submitted. Does that work?
Uh-huh.
I'll second
Move and
that.
second that we amend the amendments, and that will be attached to the 2024 budget. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So now we will have the new working copy, will have all the amendments and things changed, compensation, everything that's proposed.
Just to clarify, did that motion include the updated version of those amendments into the tentative budget?
92B,
Yes,
That's what I had
Yes.
intended on that, yes.
yes.
into the tentative budget.
Okay.
Okay, so now we can get a complete copy of, with all the amendments in it for us to make adjustments accordingly. Does that make sense?
Yes, so my understanding is that we would do like a draft council budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Micah, we'll get it, you attach it, and we want the detail of everything too.
I'll print out.
Accounts were raised, why, and so forth, so we can ask the people why they,
I'll update your binders.
yeah.
Okay.
We can keep the binder, just give us new papers.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Probably be a little smaller. There's one section of those revenue and the statements of revenue and expenditure I don't think we need, but still be.
Okay.
detailed so we can make it.
Okay, any other questions from that?
We aren't passing another motion or making another motion on
No.
anything? Okay.
No, we just passed it to attach it to it, and then,
Okay.
and then we'll work from there.
Okay.
Can we
So,
publicly thank Brittany for all of your extra
Yes.
work, stepping up into
Yep.
something you hadn't done? And we really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for being patient with me as I'm learning.
Thanks for
So are
coming
we.
and doing it.
Yes, good job.
I'm hearing a lot of
We're
good
not too
again,
intimidated,
good
are we?
compliments of what you're doing, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and, down to initial proposal, ordinance 2023-38. So what is the preference of the council?
I would waive the rules and make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-38, amending the 2017 Cache County Resource Management Plan.
Can we waive or
I'll second that.
And
suspend?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Got to get the right one.
Get the right
Not
wording.
yet.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2023-38 of the RMP updates. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. How about resolution? I'll entertain any motions or declarations on resolution 2023-20.
I move to approve the 2023 budget as presented.
Second?
I don't understand.
That's the opening
This is
of the budget.
the opening, this is a 2023 budget that we just
The
went
one we
through.
just amended and added to
No,
it.
No,
that's 2024.
2023 is,
The 2023, never mind.
is the updates to the actual numbers.
Okay.
That's the changes that'll have, occur this year.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, moved and seconded, that we, actually, we've had the,
We really haven't discussed
We haven't
it.
discussed
we
it
haven't
at all.
discussed it. Yeah,
Yeah.
what discussion would you like to? It's, okay, it's been moved and seconded that we pass Resolution 2023-20. Is there any discussion?
Until we have reviewed it and gone through it, I'm not ready to.
Okay, what questions do we have?
We're not waiving the rules either, though. We do have
No.
another,
Yes.
it's initial.
We can push it till,
Can, hey,
Later.
Micah, can you explain to us, I know you kind of explained it to me, but I think if you would go over it again, the changes to the auditor and the finance, the 25%,
Yeah,
that would be helpful.
And I may look to Brittany or even our clerk auditor for some help, but looking at, do you have the item number for that, Sandy?
Yeah, number 4 is the first one, I think. Number 1, let's just start at the very beginning, number 1.
Okay, so so in that budget opening, Brittany, that is just, as it is now, the clerk auditor's salary is distributed between 3 budgets, clerk, elections, and auditor. And now that finance is a part of the auditor's office, it's reallocating into 4 budgets: clerk, auditor, elections, and finance.
Okay.
And so that's all, that's what that item does.
Okay, so that, and that's in all 4 of those departments.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm still lost.
Okay, question.
Start on number 1.
We distributed it between 4 areas, right? Was there an increase, or just was it the same salary distributed between 4 areas?
It's the same, yeah.
Okay,
The salary stays.
okay.
other questions?
Number 1. Are you on? It's 10B. Yeah, I think we need time to go over that some more, and then we can talk about it next time. And pass it? Or not?
That's fine.
Yep, there you go.
Do we need to make, or Dane, do we need to make you have,
I think with the
We moved on
amount,
his.
I don't think that's gonna be a problem
Okay.
between now and the next meeting.
okay.
Okay, should we go ahead and,
Brittany's saying no.
there was a motion and a second, but we can go ahead and, not, if you don't vote on it, we just push that until the next meeting.
Well, for procedural, this can be passed and moved on for final action, because
Or you, if you don't, well,
I didn't suspend the rules, I just voted to approve it.
then there's really no need to pass it. We can't pass it, actually. So,
I'm really confused at what this is.
It's just a budget
Or we
opening.
just-
there is a fair amount, there's a lot of fund balance, the use of fund balances that's coming out, to make up for some overages. There's quite a bit of that.
So for Councilmember Buse, so all she's doing is making a motion to open it.
Advance and
Yeah,
to the next meeting.
to open it and go to the next meeting. We aren't.
Not to pass it.
Not to
Not to
pass
pass
it.
it.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm okay
advance
with
it.
that. All right.
Well, then I'll say motion, we can vote on that and we can kill that, and then we can actually, your motion was to pass it, though.
To pass it on to the next meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Okay, so we postpone,
for
Okay,
initial,
that's
for
where I was
initial.
getting
Okay.
confused. Okay,
then it'll be automatically, actually, if we don't vote on it, it automatically goes to the next meeting,
okay,
because it's initial.
all right.
Okay?
Okay.
We'll just go ahead and take it and send it to the next meeting, that'll be fine. Okay. And then as you have questions, please reach out to Micah and Brittany, they'll get the answers for you, so. Let's go ahead to Resolution 2023-21. Matt?
Okay, thank you for allowing me to come. So we're here trying to make sure we beat some deadlines. So normally our seasonal access restrictions start November 15th, which is coming up. Based on some discussions we've had with the road department, we have a couple new proposals for consideration to the council for some seasonal restrictions. So one, I just wanted to review the code. I know it's in the draft resolution, but in the county code, it says the county council shall have the authority to place ongoing seasonal restrictions on roadways based on the inability to provide snow removal, potential damage to roadways during certain periods of the year, or other safety or access concerns. So that's what the resolution. And then just generally, what I have up there is the language from the resolution that just says the Cache County Council has determined that it's both necessary and appropriate for the county to place seasonal restrictions and close some county roads to motorized vehicles. These closures are to protect public safety, reduce maintenance cost, maintain water quality, and prevent erosion during snowy and icy conditions late fall through spring. So that's kind of our point of coming to you. And we have 3 that we were coming for initial considerations. One of those we would like to take off due to some other information. So tonight we're proposing the Maple Bench in 2200 South and the East Canyon. So if I may,
The Mineral Point?
we are taking off the Mineral Point. So we wanted to amend the resolution to take that one off of the council for tonight. So, and I can explain more of that. I wanted to show where these are, and then we can. So if I figured there'd be a lot of zooming, so I'm gonna have to do my displays again.
Matt, are any of these different from last winter?
That's why we're doing, that's why we're trying to do an update, is because we're proposing some amendments.
Okay.
So I wanted to take and show you where these proposals are so that we can see which roads we're talking about. And one of the things I have turned on is the ownership map so that you can see where the county is and where the Forest Service is. So the Maple Bench 2200 South is this road right here. So if we zoom out so you can see this is in Mendon. This is a road that goes through some county unincorporated part and then accesses the Forest Service. What we're seeing is that there's a lot of springtime, fall, where we're getting a lot of road damage on this road. And so we're proposing to close that road right at this point right here, to install some kind of a gate here so that people can still, make these loops down here in the valley, but this road going through here will be closed, and then access to the Forest Service will be closed to vehicle access.
Where's that again?
So it's called Maple Bench. There's.
In Wellsville and Mendon, right?
Yep, we're still in Mendon.
Does that go to
East
like a
Canyon
little camp area there?
Pardon me?
Is there a little camp area that goes back up through there?
Yeah, it's actually referred to as cold water.
Yes, yeah.
okay.
Kind of often a girls' camp, at least, yeah.
There's a
Been there
There's a witch tree up that area. There's a cold water spring. There's a hiking trail you can get to. Most of them.
Which tree do you go to? Is that what you mean?
A witch tree. There's like a little fence around the tree.
Yeah.
So that's the area we're talking about.
Okay.
So, the other one that we're proposing, we call it East Canyon. So this would be near Porcupine. So East Canyon comes all from basically Avon. It's the road that goes up to Porcupine and around Porcupine. Once you get around Porcupine, we usually start to change the name of that road to Mineral Point. So the one that we're proposing right now is basically the stretch of East Canyon that goes around the dam. So that is not currently closed in the winter. So if you were to drive up there in the middle of the winter and there wasn't enough snow and you thought you could go around, then you would try to navigate around the dam. So we're proposing to close it. There's a cattle guard and a parking area as you come up to the top of the dam. Our proposal is to put in a gate that's seasonally closed right by that cattle guard.
Is that gonna affect any private landowners?
So similar to our other gate closures, you know, if landowners need to get back there, they can come and get a key from us. So we're not trying to lock out landowners, so.
And if there's no reason, they usually don't go up there that early anyway, but.
No, if the church needed to get there, they could come and get a key. That's not a problem. If cold water needed to access something or they had cows in there late or something, we're usually accommodating to those types of issues. What we're trying, you know, and we have a gate agreement they've come and signed that I think we've talked about. That went very well the last couple of years where people have come in and got gate keys and we have a record of it. So we're not trying to keep landowners out. We encourage them.
This is a new closure.
These are these two are brand new proposed closures.
Is it because there's been damage, or give me explaining why?
Part of this is because we have people that try to go around the dam. We don't feel like that's a safe area for people to go. It's hard to get them out because of the narrowness of the road. This one isn't necessarily as much road damage as just health and safety of someone who thinks they can drive around the dam in December, and it's probably not a very good idea. The other one is mostly for road damage and erosion control that we're seeing over there on the other side of the valley.
But does this lead to what you're going to talk to us on the Mineral Point Road?
It probably is part of that discussion. Like I said, the one that we were thinking about putting on to continue that would be the Mineral Point and La Plata Road, which goes over to Ant Flat. That's the one we want to table for further discussion and look at going through that one in more detail at a later date, but not right now. Part of that is due to the DNR still working on their habitat management plan, and then there's also some other little legal issues that we want to resolve before we move forward with that proposed closure.
While you're there, can you show, or do you have the ability to show what was bought from the State Lands Trust?
That brown in the middle.
The whole brown, and that was bought with what?
With
Compilation of different funds.
Yeah.
By the state.
So taxpayer money?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm getting to.
It was if I may, council, it was a $10 million appropriation from the state. It was about $6 million or in change from private conservation groups like Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Mule Deer Foundation. And then the remainder was Pittman Robertson funds, which are the funds derived from excess taxes on hunting and fishing products. So it was, all of that was conglomerated within the Division of Wildlife Resources budget. So the Division of Wildlife Resources was the main actor in that purchase. That's why it's under their purview.
I think if I come back to this, Nolan, to maybe help a little bit is when I look at like the Forest Service seasonal closures, they have listed on here as Avon Liberty Road, Ant Flat Road, those types of things. There used to be some seasonal closures on Ant Flat. Currently, there's not. So that bigger discussion could be what the council would like to do on Ant Flat as well. Because in Lake Town Road and some of those other roads that we're experiencing a lot of erosion and just damage on, that's costing the county a lot of money during the winter times too. So we did prepare a map as part of this. We do have the Maple Bench on there. We do have the East Canyon. We entertain taking the Mineral Point, La Plata off for this point, but due to the nature of when these closures start, which is November 14th, we'd still like to try to get the council to consider the other two at this time.
So, question. We've talked a lot about making sure roads are open to the public, or that we have open access to those roads that we've gone through so much to prove that there was passage through there by the public. So now we're closing just for a period of time. Does that, I'm sure that doesn't affect that status of a public road, or does it not?
No.
There's no time on that.
No, the council is authorized to close it down for, you know, health and safety. Kind of what we were reading at the start of that, Nolan, is,
I get it, I'm just wanting to make it public that I'm not here to close down roads and stuff that the
no.
public has had access to.
These are seasonal closures. They don't affect the public use, the public right-of-ways. They don't affect any of that.
Okay.
So if I can just add to that, so a public right-of-way, once it's established, can't be extinguished except for by the council taking a vote to vacate a road. So once that, closing it isn't going to, say there was significant road damage like we had in Smithfield Canyon, closing that down, even if it was closed down for 10 years and we didn't allow public access because we didn't have the funds to repair it, unless the council votes to vacate that road, that public right-of-way will never be extinguished.
Okay, I just wanted that out so that those listening or whatever understand what we're talking about here.
For temporary damages or for some type of other public health and safety nature, the executive has the authority to close those roads. The council, per the code, is looking at these long-term, ongoing seasonal restrictions, but as far as day-to-day operations or emergencies or traffic control or something like that, those closures fall under the executive.
Matt, so if you could explain to me, you're removing the Mineral Point Road because we're not going to have any closure on that, or, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
Not as far as this amendments. We'll probably table that one and come back maybe early spring or summer to discuss that.
But it will stay open all winter then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, technically no, if you're closing there by the mouth of the Porcupine Dam.
Yes, you could
And
exit.
from the other side.
From that way, but the other way, Ant Flat naturally closes. That's why it would be a discussion. Ant Flat closes at, when the snow.
Because we don't gate it, but we don't
gate
grade
it, but.
it or anything, so it's closed.
Yeah, so we don't officially have a policy for Ant Flat, or there's nothing in a resolution that says we can go put a barricade or gate it. There was in the past. What happens is the snow flies in Ant Flat fairly early, and once you plow it a couple of times, you've created a natural barrier where people can't get up there. But we would like to look at, last year was an exception, but the years before that, we had mild winters, so you had a lot of traffic on these roads that normally you wouldn't have to worry about. They would just be closed because of snow, but because of mild winters, now you get a lot more Jeeps, you get a lot more people, and Ant Flat has a lot of cabins, so that's one that we probably want to have a little more discussion on how to handle Ant Flat, maybe a little more public input on what would be good for that road. These ones that we've just proposed don't really affect any residential cabins, those types of things. They're very small roads that affect access to Forest Service, or generally they're closed anyways, but we wanted it official.
That campground, Cinnamon Creek, up there, does it open any earlier than the 1st of June, though?
So ours is proposed to open April 15th, so there's a potential that if we had a really light winter, that maybe the hosts might want to get up there before that.
For maintenance or something like that?
For some kind of maintenance.
That works for you?
They'll check through that, yeah.
Okay.
Last year it was closed for quite a while just due to flooding and high snow. I don't think they were in there. Jeremy and I were looking at our photos the other day, and it was in July, I think, before they were doing any camping, so.
Yeah, I know there were several dates in June that they had to cancel.
Yeah. So the map that I have up on the screen now is just kind of a picture of where we are. It seems like we're talking about it, but the ones that are already the ones that are already part of a resolution are the Short Divide. That's out in Clarkston. That goes up and over the hill. That we coordinate with Box Elder County. High Creek is part of current seasonal restrictions. Ivans Hollow is a little teeny stretch up there. We have Birch Canyon, that's part of a seasonal closure, Smithfield Dry Canyon, the Nem Road, 3 Mile Creek is part of the seasonal closures. We close out by Mount Pisgah where the mine is, not the road to the mine, but just after that, going through some of those, mountain roads. We close all of South Canyon, so anything going to Eden, going south, is closed by gate, which closes that whole area off down there. And then, so we do have quite a few. There's some of the main roads that, again, I think warrant more discussion, which would be Lake Town Road, Ant Flat Road, and then maybe just putting something in place, depending upon, some of our discussions of matching the Forest Service, such for Green Canyon, Smithfield Canyon, Millville Canyon is not on our closure, Providence Canyon. So there's some of those that we either coordinate with Forest Service or we might want to match as part of our policy too, so that ours and the Forest Service are both matching each other. Any questions?
No, would this resolution need a public hearing at all?
I don't believe so. There's no funds being expended outside of what the roads department already has. I'm not aware of anything in our code that requires a public hearing for the closing of roads. The council could always set a public hearing if that's.
Well, I just want to make sure, so. You got a question, Ken?
Just, I wondered if there was some expediency to suspending the rules to do this, pass this tonight, because you want it in place by November 15th?
November 15th is the normal closure. As proposed, the two that we've proposed tonight, that's what we're proposing, that those will be closed November 15th and open back in April 15th, which is standard for all of our closures that we currently have except for one.
If they want
Okay.
We can stick with what we currently have if we wanted to push this, and we could wait. But generally, that's on the 15th is when we're going to make our rounds and close all the other ones. So
I don't see any problem with adding these to it.
No, I think that's great.
Can I ask a question? Up there on the schedule to open, is that, what's the purpose of leaving that blank? Is that based on
that's because we needed a longer discussion for that one based on some of the other recommendations. But since we're taking that one off, that's what I would say, that we're taking the Mineral Point La Plata. We would ask for an amendment to remove that one.
Okay.
And
we actually, through our discussion, we could actually put a date in there. We could have.
You could have.
Amended that and put a date in there.
Yeah. So the other ones, Dane, the road's scheduled to open April 15th and close November is all of these roads. And then we have one that currently is approved that opens June 1st and closes October 1st. And then the Mineral Point La Plata Road would have had its own opening and closure date based on the council's decision. But again, we'd like to remove that one for tonight's discussion and just approve the East Canyon and the Maple Bench as amendments to the seasonal closure.
Any other questions?
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 23.
We probably have to suspend the rules on this one initially.
I'll suspend the rules. I won't waive the rules, I'll suspend it.
We removed it.
Be a motion to amend.
Yeah, we gotta amend it first.
The La Plata Mineral
We'll-
Point, which we need to pass, and then.
Yeah, that might be part of it. Go ahead, Carl.
Okay, well, I'll make that, then to amend this to remove the Mineral Point Road, La Plata, from this resolution at this time.
Is there a second?
Second.
Move to second that we amend the resolution 2023-21 and remove the information about Mineral Point Road / La Plata. Any discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I
Any-
abstain, I was out trying to concentrate.
Any opposed? One abstain, and so the motion passes. Okay, any other information? What's the privy of the council?
Well, then, we can approve the amended resolution. So I will suspend the rules and make a motion to approve resolution, the amended resolution 2023-21, seasonal access restrictions for county roads.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we approve, we suspend the rules and approve the amended version of 2023-21. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Real quick, before we head up to executive session, any changes to UAC annual convention? Okay. Anyone need to be down there early? You're going down Monday?
I already made my own reservation.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Could you, I will be going down on Monday.
So will I.
So any others?
I have to be there at 1.
Because
We have meetings to go to at 1 o'clock.
Michael, when I called to get my own reservation for Monday night.
Yeah.
They didn't have my name anywhere. They just said, we have a whole bunch of rooms with Micah Safeston's name. I'm one of those.
come down on Thursday, turn around, drive back. Okay.
Hi, Nolan.
Any
Goodbye,
other,
Nolan.
any others? I'm glad that everyone's headed down. That is a great
Do we have
convention there.
plans to get together Tuesday night for dinner or Wednesday night?
That would be great.
Okay.
We'll arrange that. Let's thinking about what we want to do there, and we'll find a place and do that. That'd be great.
Okay.
So maybe if
Tuesday night, I won't be
anyone
able
has
to
some
because I
connections,
have
use your
work, so.
connection, and we'll even have someone else pay it. So
I won't be able to do Tuesday night because I have
Yeah.
board,
Yeah, let's do Wednesday night.
Okay.
meeting.
let's look at the schedule, what there is possibly, and Wednesday night. That would be fun. So. Okay. Any council member reports real quick? Mark?
Nothing to report this week?
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Carl?
Nothing, no.
No.
Barbara?
I do have a question. I've been approached by a few citizens about boarding at the fairgrounds with their horses.
Yep.
And that we increased the cost, and I just wondered if anybody could shed some light on that.
Well, they're looking into that. That was at our last fairgrounds meeting. They're looking at increasing those costs to make them more, I won't say affordable, but make them more
Less subsidized?
comparative.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're still far below
yeah.
what you could find anywhere
But
else.
there is, as far as like all the research has been done, there is no subsidy. This is like just at cost, right? Or, I don't know, I'm just trying to get some information. 'Cause I don't
They've been
believe
losing money on it
we're still losing money on it, even with the increase.
I don't know if they will still, but they have been in the past.
Yeah, and then it's also to reflect the facilities of the horse stalls themselves, but it's, yeah, we need to increase that to where it is competitive.
And so,
You know, we don't underbid private people.
okay, okay. So if that's a part of a fee schedule, does that come before us?
That will come before us.
Okay, so they haven't been charged yet.
Nope.
This is just a they got a letter telling them that it would be proposed. Because I've
Proposed.
just, they've reached out to me and I don't really, they
In
haven't
other
been
words, we
super
talked
well
about it, and it'll be coming, they'll have to come through us for approval.
for the fee schedule, okay.
Bart will be bringing that to us.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
You bet. Any others?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for the following reason that's on your paper.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we go into executive session for the strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?